सर
Yes, beta.
बैकग्राउंड वाला पोर्शन नहीं पढ़ना है आगे 527 पेज नंबर
Can you of which you are talking about? Unit number 3 or 4?
3
आगे के
यूनिट
टॉपिक
नंबर 3।
यूनिट नंबर 3 में पढ़ना है ना बेटा, लेकिन पहले मैं ले रहा हूँ यूनिट नंबर 3 में ऑडिट ऑफ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी, राइट?
सर वो भी वही है ऑडिट ऑफ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी लेकिन बैकग्राउंड है पेज नंबर 527
547. No, no, this is you just skip. Yes, yes, I got your point. I got. This is you want to talk. You are talking about this, right?
यस सर
It's fine.
यस।
That is not in your syllabus. But if you want to read it, you can read it. You can write it. Nothing wrong in that in the exam. But mostly this that this material is important because it covers comprehensively everything. This is from Pankaj Garg books and this is from other books. So it is not appropriately because it is not updated material. That's the reason you do not have to read this. But it's fine, fair enough. ये आप exclude कर सकते हो material में से, right?
ओके सर
Yeah, videos are recorded, huh? So don't worry about it. So if you ask, you can write this, right? So anyway, audit of insurance companies, legal and regulatory requirements. So what are the legal and regulatory requirements? Simple topics. So there are a number of laws which are applicable to the insurance companies, and that is required to be complied by the insurance company. And that what is the essentially the auditor will ensure while the examining the records of the insurance company that whatever the statutory laws or legal or regulatory requirement which is applicable to the insurance company, whether they have complied with or not. And in the audit of insurance company, whatever the books of accounts which is maintained by the insurance companies, it is as per the financial reporting framework to them, to the insurance company, and whether they have a appropriate internal control system which is ensure that all the legal and regulatory requirements is applicable to the insurance companies are duly complied and there is no deficiency in the internal control system. And if there is a deficiency of the internal control systems, the auditor will identify those deficiency, make the governing body, generally in case of the insurance company it is the board of directors. So they inform to the board of directors these are the the deficiency in the internal control systems, and they will suggest to strengthen the internal control system, and so that the books of account reflects the true and fair use. The ultimate objective of the audit of the insurance company will remain the same, that the books of account reflects the true and fair view. So जो नॉर्मल ऑडिट में हम करते हैं सेम वे इंश्योरेंस कंपनी में भी वही है. द ऑडिटर हैज टू प्लान, ऑडिटर हैज टू अंडरस्टैंड द एंगेजमेंट. So which kind of insurance company it is, whether it is general insurance, life insurance, or whether both, right? What are the different functions of the insurance company? Then so nature of engagement, order has to understand, have to obtain the all the knowledge of the activities of the insurance company under the audit. And auditor has to plan, auditor has to develop an audit program to to execute the audit. Then auditor has to obtain the sufficient appropriate audit evidence to ensure that the insurance company are maintaining the books of accounts where there is no errors and frauds, and they are disclosing all the informations which is required under the different laws, and they are reflecting the true and fair use. So the objective will remain the same. Only things is in that case, in case of an insurance company, the nature of business is quite different than the other entities, right? So that is overall. So वही बातें हैं, right? चलो, so legal and framework for the general insurance companies. So Insurance Act 1938, including the Insurance Rules 1939, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act 1999, ILDA, right? Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority regulations framed under the ILDA Act 1999, Companies Act 2013, because if it is a company, obviously it is registered as a company, so they have to comply with the Companies Act. IRDA इन्वेस्टमेंट रेगुलेशंस एक्ट, बिकॉज इंश्योरेंस कंपनी भी उनको जो प्रीमियम मिलेगा उनको भी वो इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हैं so that they can return the funds to the policy holders. So investment regulations 2013 and insurance regulatory authority है ना of India preparation and preparation of financial statement and auditors report regulations 2000. So there is a separate audit report in this case of our different audit reports which is covered under here. So that is what is the legal requirements. Regulatory requirements of the Insurance Act 1938, the first one. Registration, section 3, which requires to the registration. Every insurer is required to obtain a certificate of registration before commencement of the insurance business in India. So if anyone wants to do an insurance business in India, they have to register themselves with this act, under this act, and they have to, before the commencement of the business, they have to obtain a certificate of registration. The section empowers the authority to make the regulations for registrations of इंश्योरेंस. सो जो ये अथॉरिटी है उनको पावर दिए गए कि वो रजिस्ट्रेशन में कौन कौन से डिटेल रखेंगे और किस तरीके से उसको रेगुलेट करेंगे. The registration of Indian insurance companies is done in accordance with the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Registration of Indian Insurance Companies Regulations 2000. तो उस हिसाब से उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन होगा, उसके अंदर टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस लिखी होगी. Requirement as to the capital, section 6. The minimum paid up equity share capital of an Indian insurance company carrying on an insurance business should be rupees 100 crores, excluding the preliminary expenses incurred in the formation and registration of the company. So they must have minimum of 100 crore rupees. Then only they can register themselves or they can enter into the business of insurance. Otherwise they cannot. An insurer may enhance the same in accordance with the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, SEBI's Act 1992, and the rules and regulations or directive issued by thereunder or any other law for the time being in force. तो ये कभी भी लिमिट्स को बढ़ाया जा सकता है, right? But it minimum required the 100 crores. Points to be remembered. Insurance companies are required to maintain a minimum solvency ratio. This is very, very important. In insurance company, same way as in case of NBFCs or in case of banks, SLR or capital adequacy ratio plays an important role. Same way in insurance company, solvency ratio is important, right? So it is a center point of audit. Insurance companies are required to maintain a minimum solvency ratio of 115%. Solvency ratio is, what is solvency ratio? Solvency ratio is excess of assets over liability of an insurance company. That is known as a solvency ratio. Means I must have 150 rupees to pay off my liability of 100 rupees. That is known as a ratio of 150%. So if solvency ratio in case of an individual, right, अगर आप इंडिविजुअल के बारे में बात करना चाहते हो तो who to be treated as solvency ratio of 150%. अगर आपकी liability 100 रुपीज है और आपके पास 150 रुपीज है, 150 रुपीज आपके पास है और आपको पैसा का पेमेंट करना है 100 रुपीज, then you can say that you have a solvency ratio of 150%. Same way, तो what is the liability in case of insurance company? जो insurance policy इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ने बेची, जैसे कि LIC है, ICICI है, बहुत सारी आज के तारीख पे तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर में भी इतने ही. तो उन लोगों ने इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी किसी को बेची और उनको प्रोमिस किया है, राइट, उसके कि भाई आपको अगर कोई ऐसी इवेंट होगी, इंश्योरेंस इज जनरली टू मिटिगेट द रिस्क के लिए इंश्योरेंस लिया जाता है. सपोज का लाइफ इंश्योरेंस है तो मैं अपना लाइफ इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम पेड करता हूं बिकॉज if unfortunate event took place and if I am in my absence, my family should survive, right? So for that I take a life insurance. तो वो मेरी लाइफ के ऊपर है. मैं कार का इंश्योरेंस लेता हूँ, जनरल इंश्योरेंस, राइट. मैं मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस लेता हूँ, अगर कुछ मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया, हॉस्पिटलाइज हो गया, अगर मैं बीमार हो गया, right? और मुझे हॉस्पिटल में जाना पड़ेगा, so I don't have the money to pay off the insurance, the medical expenses, so I will take a medical insurance premium. वो मुझे मुफ्त में नहीं मिलता है, right? So suppose I take a medical insurance premium, medical insurance policy of a 3 lakh rupees. तो अगर मेरा मेडिकल का खर्चा 3 लाख होता है, तो it is the liability of the insurance company to pay off me, so that is liability. और उसके सामने मैं उसको क्या देता हूँ, प्रीमियम देता हूँ. प्रीमियम बिकम्स द एसेट्स फ्रॉम देम बिकॉज इट इज एन इनकम फॉर देम. और वो इनकम, वो मैं जो प्रीमियम पेड करता हूँ, वो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी अपने पास रखती है और फिर उसको इन्वेस्ट करती है दूसरी जगह पे, तब भी, है ना. तो दैट इज व्हाट इज द, आई होप ऑल ऑफ यू नो दैट व्हाट इज द इंश्योरेंस बिजनेस, राइट. मैं हर साल क्लेम नहीं करने वाला हूँ. तो ऐसा जनरली, जैसे कि मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम में ऐसा होता है कि मैं हर साल प्रीमियम पेड करता हूँ, अगर एक साल में मेरे को कुछ भी हुआ नहीं, तो दैट प्रीमियम इज परमानेंटली लॉस्ट, वो मुझे वापस नहीं मिलने वाला, राइट. Life insurance में there are two kinds of life insurance policy. One's where I can get my premium amount with bonus or interest income on it, whereas there are certain term insurance, in case of life term insurance, where I am paying the premium, but I will not get the return of the premium which I have paid. So in life insurance there are two kinds of policies. So if they want, they take right now the premium and they will return on later on, then they will invest into the assets, so that asset should be over the liability. That is what is the consideration. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is very to understand very well, क्योंकि इनके बारे में ही इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के ऑडिट के बारे में बात होगी. आपको इसी के ऊपर बातें करती रहनी है. इसी को सेटिस्फाइड करने के लिए सारा अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगा आगे. There is a detailed working provided by the ILDA on the manner of computing the solvency margin. Solvency margin कैसे क्लियर किया जाए, तो उसके ऊपर डिटेल डायरेक्शन है जो पढ़ना चाहिए. Forms and contents of the financial statements. Section 11. Every insurer in respect of insurance business transacted by him, her or it, actually him तो नहीं होता है, but यहाँ पे कंपनी के बारे में बात है, तो by it and in respect of his shareholders fund sell at the expiration of each financial year. ना जब भी एक financial year खत्म होता है, prepare with reference to that year balance sheet, a profit or loss account, a separate account of receipts and payment, a revenue account in accordance with the regulations as may be specified. So यहाँ पे financial statement की definition में balance sheet और profit और loss account तो आता ही आता है, साथ साथ में a separate account of receipts and payment भी वो बनाना पड़ता है. How much they have receipts in the form of premiums and how much they have payments in case of maturity of the policies or the investment they have made, उसका भी payment होगा. So the receipts and payment account and revenue account, how much the income they have recognized in accordance with the regulations as may be specified. Audit is mandatory under section 12. The balance sheet, profit or loss account, revenue accounts, or profit or loss appropriation account of every insurance in respect of all insurance business transacted by them shall, unless they are subject to audit under the Companies Act 2013, be audited annually by an auditor. तो Companies Act में तो audit mandatory है ही, अगर वो company नहीं है तो भी it is mandatory. The auditor shall, in the audit of all such accounts, have the power of or exercise the functions vested in and discharge the duty and subject to the liability and penalties imposed on the auditor of the companies by section 147 of the Companies Act 2013. So obviously अगर auditor अपनी duty discharge करने में कोई गलती करेगा, तो obviously auditor will be held responsible for the professional misconduct and नहीं चलेगा. ऑडिटर के सामने भी एक्शंस लिया जा सकता है if they fail to exercise a reasonable care and skill while performance of an audit. So there are penal provisions under section 147. We already learned in TYBCom, right? Company audit के अंदर पहले यूनिट में ही था ये टॉपिक, liability under section 147. Appointments of auditor, how the auditor is appointed. The auditors of the appointment of statutory auditor in the General Insurance Company of India and its subsidiary, and the divisions are made by the CAG of India, because general insurance company, so it is a CAG, means sorry. So it is done by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, as in case of other public sector units. However, in case of others means which is the private sector insurance companies like ICICI insurance company and ICICI Prudential Insurance Company. Then number of companies are there, Reliance, right? Eco General Insurance, right? That all are also comes under this. So the other, in case of others, the auditor is appointed at the AGM after ensuring that the auditor satisfy the compliance requirements with relevant sections of the IRDA guidelines on corporate governance. Points to be remembered is the IRDA guidelines on corporate governance poses a certain restrictions on the number of insurance companies as a can statutory auditor can audit. So there are a number of restrictions कि कितनी कर सकते हैं. Currently, an auditor can conduct an audit only of 3 insurance companies and not more than 2 life or 2 general. Right? So वो maximum 3 इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के कर सकते हो, और 3 में से भी 2 लाइफ इंश्योरेंस एंड 1 जनरल इंश्योरेंस, so total 3, or either 2 general or 1 life insurance, right? So in case of life maximum 2, in case of general maximum 2, but total in combination of life and general total should be 3. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So capping is there. जैसे कि आपने कंपनीज एक्ट में पढ़ा था डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन ऑफ ऑडिटर, एक ऑडिटर मैक्सिमम 20 कंपनी में ऑडिटर बन सकता है. सेम वे इन इंश्योरेंस में एक ऑडिटर मैक्सिमम 3 इंश्योरेंस कंपनी में ऑडिट कर सकता है एक साल में, उससे ज्यादा, टू एंश्योर दैट द ऑडिटर इज रेंडरिंग अ क्वालिटेटिव सर्विसेज. The guidelines also mandate the mandatory joint audit for all the insurance companies. So in case of insurance company, because इंश्योरेंस बिजनेस वही कर सकता है जिसका, है ना, जिसके पास पेड अप कैपिटल, इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल, आपको पता है 100 करोड़ मिनिमम होना चाहिए. तो जनरली इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का वॉल्यूम बहुत ज्यादा होता है, इसीलिए वहां पे जॉइंट ऑडिट का कंसेप्ट होता है. एक ऑडिटर उसके ट्रांजैक्शन को ऑडिट नहीं कर सकता. So generally it is a mandatory joint audit for all the insurance companies. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Solvency of assets or solvency margin, section 64 VA. Requirement of solvency margin: every insurance and reinsurer shall at all the time maintain an excess of value of assets over the amount of liabilities of not less than 50% of the amount of minimum capital as stated under section 6 and arrive at in the manner specified by the regulation. So उनके पास minimum उतनी एसेट, उनकी जो लायबिलिटी है उससे ज्यादा 50%, नॉट लेस देन 50% ऑफ द अमाउंट ऑफ मिनिमम कैपिटल, उतनी तो रखनी ही पड़ेगी, है ना. दैट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ सॉल्वेंसी मार्जिन. सो ऊपर 150% लिखा था, तो आपके पास अगर 100 की लायबिलिटी है तो आपके पास 50% मार्जिन, तो एटलीस्ट 50, 100 प्लस 50, सो 150 होना जरूरी है. नॉन कंप्लायंस ऑफ द सॉल्वेंसी मार्जिन, राइट. हाँ, एक वर्ड आ रहा है, एवरी इंश्योरर और री इंश्योरर. सो री इंश्योरेंस क्या होता है? अगर एक इंश्योरेंस कंपनी अपने कस्टमर को जो इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी लेती है एंड दे फील देमसेल्फ एट अ हायर एक्सपोजर रिस्क. एक्सपोजर रिस्क, सपोज कि मैं आपको एक सिंपल एग्जांपल देता हूं कि अगर अमिताभ बच्चन जाएगा किसी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के पास और वो बोलेगा कि मेरा लाइफ इंश्योरेंस लो. नाउ द अमिताभ बच्चन, है ना, इज वेरी फेमस एक्टर, है ना, and he is you can say it's a great actor in the film industry. So वो बोलेगा कि भाई मेरी वैल्यू तो सपोज के गिव मी 500 करोड़ ऑफ लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, क्योंकि मेरी इनकम उतनी है. सो ही कैन, बट इफ one insurance company, you know, take an insurance of life insurance of Amitabh Bachchan, right? You can understand, right? 500 crore अगर अमिताभ बच्चन को कुछ हो गया, the entire insurance company will, you know, have to liquidate their business, क्योंकि उनके पास 500 crore rupees नहीं होंगे देने के लिए, और there is a huge liability. So in that circumstances, 2 or 3 insurance companies comes together, right, and share कि भाई अगर ये बात ऐसा हो गया तो अमिताभ बच्चन जी का कोई एक इंश्योरेंस कंपनी नहीं देगी वरना प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा. सो इंश्योर और री इंश्योरेंस, तो एक इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इशू करेगी, फिर ये जो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ने 500 करोड़ की लायबिलिटी ली है अमिताभ बच्चन सर की, राइट, तो उसको फिर वो री इंश्योर करेंगे दूसरी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के साथ, तो वो उनके पास से पैसा लेंगे, राइट, और जो प्रीमियम वो चार्ज करेंगे अमिताभ बच्चन से, दे विल शेयर in proportionate basis as per their obligation. So they cannot take the exposure risk of entire amount. Are you able to understand, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Right. तो वो समझना चाहिए. Non-compliance of the solvency margin, an insurer or reinsurer, as the case may be, who does not comply with the requirement of solvency margin, shall be deemed to be insolvent and may be wound up by the court on the application made by the authority. तो solvency margin नहीं होगा तो immediately, है ना, जो authority means IRDA, यहाँ पे इंश्योरेंस रेगुलेटरी एंड डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया, राइट, सो IRDA है वो डायरेक्टली सैंक्शन ले लेगी, राइट. सो दिस इज सोल्वेंसी मार्जिन अगर मेंटेन नहीं हो रहा है ना, IRDA, इंश्योरेंस रेगुलेटरी एंड डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया, right, they will directly make an application to wind up means liquidate the insurance company अगर solvency margin नहीं हुआ तो. Powers of authority to prescribe the level of solvency. The authority, wherever the authority's word is used, you need to understand the IRDA, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, right? So that is the word should be used. So authority shall, by way of regulations made for the purpose, specify the level of solvency margin known as control level of solvency, on the breach of which the authority shall act in accordance with or without prejudice to taking of any other remedial measures as deemed fit. तो उनको जब भी ऐसा लगेगा कि सोल्वेंसी लेवल ऑफ मार्जिन रखा हुआ है उसके अंदर कंप्लायंस नहीं हो रहा तो उनको जो भी एक्शंस लेना होगा वो लेंगे विथ और विदाउट प्रेजुडाइस, है ना, उसमें कोई, so they can take the suo moto actions to ensure that the insurance companies will maintain the solvency margin. Submission of the financial plan, this is very, very important and critical. This is unique features under the insurance business. If any time an insurance or reinsurance does not maintain the required control level of solvency margin, it shall, in accordance with the directions issued by the authority, submit a financial plan to the authority, including the plan of actions to correct the deficiency within a specified period not exceeding 6 months. So अगर वो सोल्वेंसी मार्जिन में थोड़ा सपोज के प्रिस्क्राइब लेवल ऑफ सोल्वेंसी, राइट, अगर अथॉरिटी के पास पावर है कि वो प्रिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं लेवल ऑफ सोल्वेंसी, सपोज के 150% तो एक्स पर एक रखना ही है, उन लोगों ने बोला कि 160% रखिए, राइट, और अगर 60% में आपका अगर 55% है 155, सो देयर इज अ शॉर्टफॉल ऑफ 5%, तो वो कोई भी एक रेमेडियल एक्शंस ले सकते हैं और आपको बोल सकते हैं कि आप फाइनेंशियल प्लान बनाओ हाउ यू कैन रीच टू the level of solvency which is prescribed by the authority. तो उसके लिए आपको plan of actions देना पड़ेगा and that plan of action should be completed within 6 months, right? Modification to the financial plan. If the authority considers the financial plan submitted by the insurer inadequate, it shall propose the modification to the plan and shall give the direction as may be deemed necessary, including the direction in regards to the transacting any new business or appointment of the administrator or both, right? तो फिर वो डायरेक्शन दे सकता है कि आपका प्लान अप्रोप्रिएट नहीं है and it will not meet the level of solvency which we prescribe, तो फिर वो आपको मॉडिफिकेशन भी सकते हैं, डायरेक्शन भी दे सकते हैं and then the insurance companies have to follow those directions. Non-submission of the financial, an insurer or reinsurance, as the case may be, who does not submit the financial plan shall be deemed to have been made a default, right? So underlined it, failed to submit the financial plan shall deemed to have made a default in complying with the requirement of this section. Default किया उसके सामने liquidation की procedure हो सकती है, right? Solvency ratio. insurance companies are required to maintain the minimum solvency ratio of 150%. Solvency ratio is calculated as an amount of available solvency margin, which is to be treated as ASM, available solvency margin, in relation to the amount of required solvency margin, RSM. The ASM means the available solvency margin is the value of the company's assets over liability, and RSM is based on the net premium, or sorry, not or. RSM is based on the net premiums and defined as per the IRDA guidelines. तो आपके पास कितना प्रीमियम है, that is net of premium, है ना, that is the required solvency margin. So assets over liability, that is the ASM. Points to be remembered: solvency margin is a minimum excess on the insurance assets over its liability set by the regulators. आज की तारीख पे हम ऐसा पढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन ये रेगुलेटरी कभी भी ये मार्जिन बढ़ा सकते हैं और कम कर सकते हैं, राइट. It can be regarded as similar to the capital adequacy requirement for banks. So बैंक, मैंने आपको पहले ही बोला स्टार्टिंग के अंदर कि जैसे कि बैंक के अंदर कैपिटल एडिक्वेसी रेशियो होता है, SLR होता है, CRR होता है, उसी तरीके से यहाँ पे द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज द सोल्वेंसी रेशियो. ऑब्वियसली, क्योंकि जिन लोगों ने इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी ली है, अगर उनको क्लेम करने की बारी आई तो उनको वो पैसा मिलना चाहिए. अगर वो पैसा ही मिलने वाला नहीं तो इंश्योरेंस का बिजनेस करने का कोई मीनिंग नहीं, राइट. सो दे आर वेरी कीन ऑन इट. The solvency ratio of the insurance company is the size of its capital relative to all the risk it has taken. It is a measure of risk an insurance faces of the claims that it cannot absorb. It gives an insight into the ability of an organization to meet its financial obligations. Means ये बात करता है solvency ratio of the insurance is the size of the capital related to the its all its risk has taken. All its risk has taken means अगर मैं अपनी कार का इंश्योरेंस लेता हूँ तो उसके अंदर मैंने कवरेज लिया होगा कि अगर मेरी कार का एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है और उसका जो खर्चा आएगा, द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी विल बेयर फॉर दैट. So there are number of, again in car insurance there are number of types of insurance. Zero depreciation is there. So minimum deduction of only 1,000 rupees. So the customer will bill only 1,000 rupees. Remaining I have to claim. And so entire expenses which is incurred on car has to be borne by the इंश्योरेंस कंपनी. तो कितनी पॉसिबिलिटी है, कितने लोग क्लेम करेंगे, राइट. अगर क्लेम करेंगे और जो पैसा आएगा, दैट्स आई हैव रिक्वायर्ड टू, द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी हैज टू रिक्वायर टू पे. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज द रिस्क दे हैव टेकन ऑफ द अदर्स, एंड फॉर दैट दे आर चार्जिंग द प्रीमियम. सो दैट शुड बी टेकन इनटू कंसीडर. अगर वो इट कैन नॉट बी एब्जॉर्ब्ड, अगर वो क्लेम को एब्जॉर्ब नहीं कर सकते, देन इट्स विल बी अ प्रॉब्लम. इंसेप्शन ऑफ रिस्क, सेक्शन 64 VB. No insurer shall assume any risk in India in respect of any insurance business on which the premium is not ordinarily payable outside India unless and until the premium payable is received by it or is guaranteed to be paid by such person in such manner and within such time as may be prescribed, or unless and until the deposit of such amount as may be prescribed is made in advance in the prescribed manner. Generally insurance premium के अंदर premium is always in advance. है ना, अगर मैं अपना लाइफ का इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी लेता हूं, मेरे को पहले प्रीमियम पेड करना है. सो प्रीमियम पेड करूंगा तब भी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी, इट इज एन इंसेप्शन ऑफ रिस्क. अगर मैं इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी लेता हूं, मैंने 2 साल प्रीमियम पेड किया और अगले आई हैव टू पे एवरी ईयर एंड सपोज आई एम नॉट पेइंग, इफ आई फेल टू पे द प्रीमियम, द रिस्क इज गॉन. इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के लिए अगर किसी ने उसका इंश्योरेंस का प्रीमियम नहीं पे किया है, दे कैन नॉट एज्यूम एनी रिस्क, क्योंकि फिर अगर किसी ने प्रीमियम ही नहीं पे, इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इज नॉट लायबल टू पे. बट इफ द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इज एक्सेप्टिंग द प्रीमियम, देन दे हैव टू पे. There are number of decisions, as we are in the constraints of time, right? I am not discussing much. लेकिन अगर सपोज कि मैंने लाइफ इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम पेड किया है और मैं उसका प्रीमियम, अगर इंश्योरेंस कंपनी मेरे पास से प्रीमियम लेती है, तो फिर इट इज द लायबिलिटी ऑफ इंश्योरेंस टू पे फॉर विच द इंश्योरेंस टेकन. बट if I am not fulfilling the conditions of taking an insurance policy, it is the responsibility of the insurance policy not to accept my premium. है ना, अगर मैं अपना लाइफ इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम लेता तो उसके अंदर ऐसा होता है कि मेरे को मेडिकल टेस्ट करवाना पड़ता है, तो मेडिकल टेस्ट में नहीं करवाता हूँ लेकिन मैं प्रीमियम भर देता हूँ, तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी हैज टू रिटर्न द प्रीमियम. क्यों? बिकॉज आई एम नॉट फुलफिल द कंडीशंस ऑफ टेकिंग द इंश्योरेंस. अगर अगर वो लोग प्रीमियम एक्सेप्ट करेंगे तो फिर लायबिलिटी एक्सेप्ट करनी पड़ेगी. अगर प्रीमियम एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे तो लायबिलिटी एक्सेप्ट करनी. सो इट इज नेसेसरी दैट कि वो जो इंश्योरेंस का बिजनेस कर रहे हैं उनको वो जो भी कंडीशन है, अगर मैं अपनी लाइफ का इंश्योरेंस लेना चाहता हूँ, आई कैन नॉट टेक द लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ऑफ माई लाइफ ऑफ 10 करोड़ रुपीज. मुझे 10 करोड़ का 10 इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम नहीं. अमिताभ बच्चन जी को 500 करोड़ का मिल सकता है बिकॉज ही इज वेरी द रीच एंड उनके पास उतना बिजनेस है कि अगर उनकी डेथ हो जाएगी तो उनके लिए 500 करोड़ कमाना इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं. लेकिन मुझे 10 करोड़ का भी इंश्योरेंस कवरेज नहीं मिल सकता है. इंश्योरेंस कवरेज विल बी एज पर माई बेसिक इनकम. मैं जितनी इनकम अर्न करता हूँ उसके प्रोपोर्शनेट में मेरे को इंश्योरेंस मिलता है हर एक इंडिविजुअल को. तो जिसकी जितनी इनकम उस हिसाब से मिलेगा. तो कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई होनी चाहिए. मैंने 10 करोड़ का इंश्योरेंस ले लिया, उन्होंने प्रीमियम भी लिया, देन द लायबिलिटी विल राइज. सो दिस इज द इंसेप्शन ऑफ रिस्क. Inception of risk from the viewpoint of the insurance company. Am I clear to all of you, dear students?
Yes, sir.
For the purpose of this section, in case of the risk for which the premium can be ascertained in advance, the risk may be assumed not earlier than the date on which the premium has been paid in cash or by check to the insurance. जब तक इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम नहीं होता है तब तक है ना इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का रिस्क शुरू होता नहीं है. Other significant provisions: reserves for unexpired risk. The need for unexpired risk, है ना, reserves rises from the fact that all the policies are renewed annually except in the specific cases where short period policies are insured. Since the insurer close their accounts on a particular date and not all the risk under the policy are expired on that date. Obviously जब हम books of account close करेंगे तब सारे risk होगा नहीं, लेकिन आपको करना पड़ेगा. So unexpired risk है, उसके लिए आपको reserve create करना पड़ेगा. In other words, at the closing date, there is an unexpired liability under the various policies which may occur during the remaining term of the policy beyond the year end. तो ऑब्वियसली 31 मार्च को मैं करूंगा, तब तक जितनी भी पॉलिसी ओपन होगी उसके ऊपर जो रिस्क है, तो आई हैव टू क्रिएट अ अनएक्सपायर्ड लायबिलिटी. General insurance claim reserving, right? So IRDA, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, General Insurance Claim Reserving Regulation 2013 requires creation of minimum amount of unexpired risk reserve at a specified percentage of the net premium as under margin hull insurance, 100% of the net premium. There are a number of types of insurance. I'm not going into discuss everyone, otherwise it will be मार्जिन है ना. मरीन कार्गो, मरीन ह्यूल इंश्योरेंस, अगर मरीन की बात नहीं करें मींस इट इज रिलेटेड टू द सी. एंड देन द फायर, मरीन कार्गो और मिसलेनियस बिजनेस 50% ऑफ द नेट प्रीमियम. तो उनके पास जो प्रीमियम आता है उसका 100% प्रीमियम आपको रिजर्व्स के अंदर ट्रांसफर कर देना है और यहाँ पे 50% ट्रांसफर करना है. इज इट क्लियर डियर स्टूडेंट्स?
Yes, sir.
Right. Then the audit procedure in case of life insurance business. So this talks about the life insurance policies, right? This is complicated to understand. So I think we will keep today up to this. 10:07 is that I'm closing the class today. Tomorrow we'll start from here, right? The audit of procedure in case of life insurance. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much. Let me stop the recording and let me upload both the it will be visible to all of